Well, yeah, it was a fairly long time. Again, I was reflecting this morning just about this particular studio, and it was last January that we started pre-production. So had been writing and demoing and jam room and all of that beforehand. So it was last January we did a bulk of, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 songs. Call them ideas, development in the studio setting to sort of map out, I guess, a feel and a sound, because it was essentially a new band with Lauren and myself joining for this new incarnation. So we did that in January last year. A few months later, we did another session of the same, and then we were ready to record. So if it's a good year or so in the making, let's say, and probably a bit more, well, certainly a bit more in deciphering what the music should be and the next version of High Tension, I guess. I'd been writing many different avenues and presenting it to the group and just saying, look, are we going to be shooting for this type of thing, blah, blah, blah. As time and writing went on, it was quite clear the things we were enjoying, and we sort of all put our hands in and said, look, we're going to pursue this direction. There are, and there's still certainly unheard songs that would maybe be that direction, but we've chosen our best set for a new, just that new direction that we're all happy with and settled on. And for people that knew the band before, to this new record, if you have yourself, it's quite a distance from Bully and the other record. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's important in if there's a narrative for any kind of art, it's, that is the point, is the message, I guess, if it's, there's something vocalised or written to read. So yeah, Karina really, really worked hard and pulled out some amazing stuff. So that obviously goes hand in hand with what the music is, I guess, is doing, and the movement, and how that would make you feel, I guess. It's not, if it was happy ballads, maybe the subject matter would be a different one. Guitars, many guitars. I've got this Dunable guitar that I had made for me by an amazing builder from California, Sasha Dunable. And that saw a little bit on the record because I actually got it sort of at the end, in the very last little piece of putting the record together, so I did make it on there. My Orville Les Paul Custom was probably the #1 guitar. I've got and had used a Gibson Blues Hawk, if you knew that. It was from, I think they only did a couple of runs of that in the late 90s. Weirdly, as a 16-year-old kid, that was the first guitar that I bought. I don't know why I bought a guitar with P90s, which is bright blue, and as a young kid into hardcore. But anyway, I bought that, so that's on the record a lot. 62 Custom Telecaster, which I've since sold. That's on there, and Gibson SG Standard was probably another main guitar. So a few tools. I didn't go crazy. I did use my dad's Yamaha nylon acoustic on the track Surrender, which I had an idea, I'm not sure if it's of interest, but I had this idea, I could hear this sound in my head about splitting one performance into two completely different sounds. So I worked on a piece by having a Fender Twin Amp mic'd up in another booth with heavily saturated octave pedal and distortion, and then I'm out in live room at Sing Sing, and I had myself with a direct microphone to capture the percussive nature. But the fact that I do this for a job, I find it very confusing when people double track things, and we want 10 guitar layers of this same part. And so I was thinking, how can I execute that in one performance, so it's not muddled, there's no rhythmic, confusion, I guess, there. So that was a strange guitar to be on a record like this, I guess. So. It's all guitar. Every noise is guitar, apart from the main synth key lines, which just a residual underneath everything. But so that main, if you're familiar with the part that the chiming, ugly, weird, strange guitar sound over that anthemic key change is that performance with that acoustic, the nylon. But I am playing large slide sweeps behind, and I generally just make quite a few sort of subliminal noises, like just simple things like I might have quite a bit of overdrive, delay and reverb on a guitar, and then if my finger was a slide, I'd just sort of rub around a sweet spot like this, and you can get this sort of steam train in a distance type sound, and there's plenty of that happening underneath it. So plus a bit of reverse reverb in and out and things like that. So they're all subliminal, but if you muted any of those on the console as you were listening, you'd see how much they're actually doing and how much heavy lifting they do for the song. But the main thing is that one performance of that split guitar sound. Yeah, I'm a bit of a pedal nerd. I sort of my main go-to pedal for years, and I love it in both my bands. I love recording bass through it. I play guitar with it, but it's Fuzzrocious is the company. Ryan and his wife make these incredible pedals. They've been doing it for years. I got one of his really early designs of a pedal called the Demon King, which is amazing. I keep buying all these other pedals thinking that I don't have, every guitar player is always exploring something, and I keep buying these pedals thinking, all right, I'll get something which is doing the thing that maybe the Demon King's not doing. Every time I buy something else and I play the Demon King again, I'm just, that's just it. I've just got to deal with it. So that I like. If you listen to the record, even though it's a heavy record, there's certainly no modern high gain stuff going on. I like old gear. My main amp is Music Man HD 130. I like Tube 70s, 60s, 50s, anything like that. I love mid-range. I like old gear. So I used a lot of that stuff. There was certainly no high gain amp or active pickups to be seen. But yeah, I could go on. There's lots. Well, it depended on the session that we were working at and the song, I guess. There's always many takes on any record for any performer, I guess. Karina and I worked together for a long time on it. So basically, I recorded all the music. We got everything where we were at. We did track maybe half the record sort of during that period, and then it was more her and I working together, over various different times and days and so on like that, just to track the rest of it and iron out a lot of it. Like as I said before, even before High Tension, we've been friends for years, and before I joined the band, I recorded her vocals for the last album. I've worked with her a lot. She does a lot of guest vocal things, and she'll come and track it with me, and so we've got a pretty good working relationship. So it was, that seemed like the obvious thing to do was to, all right, if we're going to, instead of just belt out the vocals, let's give it everything. Let's really push you hard as you can and deliver everything that we need. And so that took time. And so we'd spent probably the next few months together sporadically ironing all of that out and tracking it. So How many tracks? I don't know. I would have 15-minute songs if it was up to me every single day. No, look, I think, I don't know, I think with the writing for this one, particularly for me, trimming the fat was more important than having an epic sort of journey. And even though there might be more complex arrangements and writing than the band had previously done, at its core it was still about its simplicity and digestibility. So having a 4.5-minute song, I think, is probably as long as High Tension would really ever do, because if we are trying to deliver, you know, everything, all of that punch, all of that spite, you know, we want to do it, we want to get in and we want to get out, and we want people to understand that that's the point of it. So, yeah. For me, I think, again, as my job, drums and bass are things that I just obsess over. I play guitar and I don't spend much time thinking about it, or I'll record it and say, yeah, that sounds fine. The bass role, particularly in this, and Matt's playing, I wanted that front and center. I wanted vocal, kick, drum, snare, bass, all just, growling right in your face. And I think, yeah, the mid-range of, that Rickenbacker sound, I blended my Music Man HD 130 with Matt's Lab Systems solid state amp to create the two tones. So having, that real ultra mid-range tube torque that you get from a tube amp and an old 70s thing with his Rickenbacker sounded phenomenal. And then a couple of FET U47s on, the low meat of the Lab Systems just blended this tone for me. That something I'm really happy with is the record. I mean, I've listened back to many things. There's always things you can do better, but the bass, I'm very happy with how that sits, and I'm pretty sure Matt is too. Yeah. Look, I've listened back recently, and I'm happily surprised by a few. But the track "Veil" would probably be my favourite song on the record. From playability, and I guess I don't know. There's a moment in the song after the first couple of verses where it's probably the most musical moment on the record. I think I'd happily write another 5 of those kind of songs for the next record. Rest of the year we start the album tour next Friday at Dark Mofo in Hobart, and that goes through and around the country, most of the country, until sort of the first week of July. Then we got a little bit of time off. There's some family and personal stuff that's going on, and then we'll sort of pick up back after that, after a few months. Dreams and plans, yeah, they're probably 2 different things. But look, we talk about it all the time, and we've got a healthy sort of network of people that we could probably make that happen if we wanted to. If someone wants to give us heaps of money to do it, please do that. We'd like to do that, and more than likely we'd probably pursue that for somewhere towards the end of the year or start of next year. But again, let's see how the record goes. It's for us, this is the end of the Purge process, but now it's released. That's it's kind of the start of it for everybody else. So let's see what that does for the band. Yeah.
Mike, thanks for your time.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Greg.